Hello, everybody. This is Coach Shafto. Today, we're working on solving one-step multiplication and division equations. If you need extra help with this, you can find it by looking at the video from Carnegie, page M3 115 to M3 116. In this activity, your goal is to get to 70, and your challenge is to get to 100. Before we begin with multiplying and dividing, if you don't remember how to do addition and subtraction solving equations, go back and watch the video on addition and subtraction of solving equations. Particularly, let's remember what an inverse operation is. Let's start by looking at the first question. It says 4f equals 16. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 4f equals 16 off to the side. And what I'll notice is that this is 4 times f, because if you remember, when I have a letter mashed up against a number, it means I'm multiplying. And so if I took 4 times something equals 16, we know that 4 times 4 is equal to 16. So we can already guess that it's probably going to be 4. But the way to solve it is by using inverse operations. And so since this is multiplied by 4, the opposite of multiplying is dividing. I'm going to do that using a fraction bar. And so now I have a 4 in the numerator here and a 4 in the denominator. And that's going to go and give me 1 whole f. Since I used a fraction bar with a 4 in denominator on that side, or you could say that I divided by 4, because fraction bar means divide, I do the same thing on the other side. Otherwise, it's not balanced. I take 16 divided by 4, and this is going to give me 4 as my answer. So f is equal to 4. I can check my work by substituting. I'm going to take 4 times, instead of f, I'm going to put a 4. That gives me 16. I know that it's correct. In the next problem, we have some division. You might think of it as being a fraction. This is, in fact, division because the fraction bar means divide. So I have 4 equals b over 4, or fraction bar 4, or divided by 4. Since it's divided by 4, we're going to multiply times 4. And you'll notice here that my 4 goes in the numerator because this is really times 4 over 1. So it's almost like you remember when we divided fractions and we multiplied by the reciprocal, the keep, change, reciprocal. This is very similar. We're multiplying by the reciprocal, and what it does is it's going to give us a 4 in the denominator and a 4 in the numerator. And since I have a 4 in the denominator and a 4 in the numerator, it makes a whole. And I'm left with b by itself. Since I multiplied times 4 over 1 on the right side, I have to do the same thing on the other side. This 1 in the denominator doesn't do anything because it just multiplies and you get 1. So then I'm left with 4 times 4 is 16, and my answer is b equals 16. On the next problem, it says 4n equals 16. And so again, we're going to say, well, I have this as 4 times n, because when I have a letters are mashed up against a number, it means multiply. And the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I'm going to use a fraction bar and divide by 4. I want to keep it balanced, so I need to do that on both sides. So when I look at this, this is a 4 in the numerator and a 4 in the denominator. So it makes 1 whole, which means that I have 1 whole in. When I have 16 divided by 4, that's going to give me 4. So my answer is 4. Next problem, it says 4t equals 20. And so this is 4 times t. So I want to use the fraction part to divide by 4, and I want to do that on both sides of the equal sign. When I have a 4 in the numerator and a 4 in the denominator, it makes one whole. I'm left with 1t by itself. When I have 20 fraction bar 4, that is the same as 20 divided by 4, because the fraction bar means divide, and this gives me 5 as my answer. The next problem, it says 7u equals 70. So again, I'm going to set up my two sides of the equal sign. And this is going to be multiplied. 7 times something equals 70. So I'm going to divide using a fraction bar on both sides to keep it balanced. And this will have 7 divided by 7, or 7 in the numerator and 7 in the denominator, gives me one whole. And so I'm left with 1u left over. And that's going to be equal to 70 divided by 7, which is going to be 10. Next question is a division problem. F over 4 is equal to 5. And so since it's divided by 4, we want to multiply times the reciprocal, 4 over 1, because there's an invisible 1 here. And I have a 4 in the numerator and a 4 in the denominator. So these cancel to give me 1f left over. I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal on the other side as well, doing the same thing to keep it balanced. And 5 times 4 gives me 20. And then this would be 1 times 1 gives me 1. So my answer is just f equals 20. If you have questions about other assignments, you can find them on Google Classroom.